Welcome to a windy Onondaga Lake here in Syracuse, New York. I'm Jim Hendrick along with Dick Crippen. And Dick, the wind might play a factor.
I think the wind is going to play a big factor in today's racing. They're going to have to know where they are going because at one point they're going to be right into the wind. And these boats, of course, are riding on a pocket of air. So they're going to have to be very aware of the attitude of the boat all the way around. If they start bouncing on the whitecaps, there could be some problems.
And there's some drama in the pits here this morning because the Circus, who ripped out a rudder in a qualifying attempt yesterday, worked all night to fix the boat. And we'll have to see if they're going to be ready.
That's right. That's one of the stories. And, of course, Miss Budweiser came out here and set a qualifying record on this course for 2 miles at better than 146 miles per hour. So we're looking at a lot of speed, a lot of drama, and a lot of wind.
And we'll have it for you right here in Onondaga Lake in Syracuse, New York, after this timeout.
New York as we get ready for this Thunderbolt Classic on Lake Onondaga. Let's find out about one of the boats that had to undergo some repair between this race and the one before. Here's Jim Hendrick.
1988 has been like a demolition derby year of the unlimited hydroplane division. The SUTPHEN Spirit is no different. You've had your problems. Your crew's worked hard.
We sure have, Jim. It's been right from the start with the Circus accident in Evansville. We got the boat pretty well hurt there. We fixed her up in Madison. In Madison, we proceeded to blow the bottom out of the boat. We lost the propeller blade, and in doing so, we did about $20,000 worth of damage. It was so bad we had to take it back to Florida, work on it, and get it back up here for this week. So it has been a rough year.
A rough year indeed, and we wish him better luck as we get ready to go here in Syracuse, New York. Here's the lineup for Heat 1A. We're going to start out with the Oberto. This has been a very consistent running boat so far this year. George Woods Jr., the driver. Also in the field, the U7 Paddock Pools, Jerry Hopp. The U8 Jeff presents Mr. Pringles with Scott Pierce. The SUTPHEN Spirit, the boat we were just talking about with Mike Hansen driving. Miller High Life, the U00 with Chip Hanauer, the 6-time Gold Cup winner.
As they come down for the start on the inside far right, it's the Miller High Life. In slot number 2, Mr. Pringles. SUTPHEN Spirit, number 3. And then it is Oh Boy Oberto. And on the outside, on your left, is the Paddock Bulls as they come down to the start, Dick Crippen.
And there they go. We've got lots of speed as they head down to corner number 1 in the first turn. And it looks like Pringles is catching up on the outside. Watch for Jeff presents Mr. Pringles to take the lead, and there he goes. Miller High Life is on the inside. Chip Hanauer trying to ride the buoy line. But on the outside, the rainbow color boat in the lead is Scott Pierce in Mr. Pringles.
4 different boats have won the first 4 races. We've got parity in the sport, and now Mr. Pringles down the back chute in the corner number 3, and Scott Pierce, the driver.
Well, Scott Pierce would love to win this one. He has got the national high points lead coming in, but he's got to really have to fight for it because he's got a tough field of competition here in Syracuse, New York.
Only about 118 miles an hour on this first lap, Dick, because the water has chopped up. About an hour ago, I didn't think we'd have this race underway.
We talked about the wind conditions, and that's something that we have to be aware of constantly in unlimited hydroplane racing. These boats are literally like aircraft wings. So the drivers have to be very attuned to the attitude of the boat, and there you can see the kind of wobble of Mr. Pringles as he hits a little bit of wave action going into corner number 1 again.
118.6 was that first lap as he comes down, shakes it off at corner number 2, and comes down the back chute on lap number 2. In second place is the Miller High Life Chip Hanauer, who won the Gold Cup in the Circus a while back.
He has had a mixed bag of luck this year. That boat has been repaired several times. This boat started the year in Miami with a crash at the Miss Budweiser. So this boat has certainly come back, and now look at the ride of the Mr. Pringles. Scott Pierce hit around 118 miles an hour in the first lap. He's being conservative this time around. I think you're going to find in the early heats that the drivers are going to try to conserve a little bit and keep their equipment intact. Good shot as we look at the Mr. Pringles coming down, gets a little bit high down the front straight, but he's holding onto the water in very fine fashion.
The wind is kicked up, so they're going to have to watch they don't fly the boats. As we look at the Old Boy Oberto, driven by George Woods Jr., the winner of the first race this year at Miami. It is the only high-powered reciprocal engine boat that has given the Germans a little competition this year.
It certainly has. We talked about consistency with the Old Boy Oberto, and that boat has been very consistent all year long. Here's another one that everybody has had an eye on, the SUTPHEN Spirit, a boat out of the Cape Coral area of Florida. And that is a boat that is closing in now, Jim, on the leader.
There's less than a mile an hour apart now as they come down to complete lap number 3. It is Mr. Pringles, 30-foot long, 14-foot wide, enclosed canopy of S16. There's your difference. The boat on the left, SUTPHEN Spirit, comes on the outside and is going to try to take over the lead.
Just a second-and-a-half difference between first place and second. That SUTPHEN boat, incidentally, was the boat that was towed all the way to Florida out of Madison, Indiana, and then towed back up here to Syracuse, New York, all in less than a week. So a good run for that boat, but here's your leader right now, Scott Pierce and the Mr. Pringles. And I want to remind everybody, as you look at these boats on the water, and they tend to get a little light, these boats average around 5,000 pounds. So you can imagine the amount of power that's being put to those boats at this time.
And only 9 square inches of each sponson and half the propeller. That's why they call them hydroplanes. They ride in a column of air. You can sometimes look right at them and see air right under the boat from stem to stern.
No question about the speed and the power of these unlimited hydroplanes. And watch now as the SUTPHEN Spirit tries to close down Mr. Pringles on the outside. Once again, Mike Henson has his foot in it. He's trying to close it down. He's actually dropped off about a second. Scotty Pierce has evidently gotten the word that he's got competition. He's opened up Mr. Pringles just a little bit more as they go into the green flag lap here in Syracuse, New York. Green flag meaning one more lap to go.
It is the Mr. Pringles, the SUTPHEN Spirit, Miller High Life, Oh Boy, Oberto, and PADDOCK Pools. 1, 2, 3, 4 in that order.
So we watch closely now the final turn. Scott Pierce of Seattle, Washington, Mr. Pringles, rainbow-colored boat, coming down with a challenge on his back end. There's the checkered flag in the air. Mr. Pringles will take it. Scotty Pierce starts the day with a win.
At an average of 118.6 for Mr. Pringles, 117.8, less than a mile-an-hour difference for the second-place SUTPHEN Spirit.
Third place will go to Miller High Life, Chip Hanauer. He averaged 111.417. There you see your winner. Here's the fourth place boat, the U2 Oh Boy Oberto, George Woods Jr. He'll get 169 points on the day. He averaged 107.688 miles per hour.
You know that water is tough and rough when the average speed is down for the lead boat of 118.
Here are your final results in Heat 1A. Scotty Pierce and Mr. Pringles, a wire-to-wire finish. Let's join Jim Hendricks in the pits with the winning driver. Jim?
It had to be like a Disneyland amusement ride out there.
Well, it's plenty rough, as you can see, but the Mr. Pringles is an extraordinarily good boat in the rough water. And I was able to drive around the boys in the first turn and pretty much just hold it. So we got 400 more points towards our anticipated world championship, and we're real proud of Pringles about that.
Long way from the Miami accident. You seem to be getting your confidence back in the boat.
Well, with any accident, you know, you wonder and you question yourself and whether or not you should be doing this for a living, but I feel like right now I should be doing this for a living. I feel real good in the boat.
And we'll be back with more of the HFC American Hydro Series from Syracuse, New York in a moment. When we talk unlimited hydroplane racing, let's talk to a man who knows all about it over the years, Bernie Little. He's with Jim Hendricks.
Down here in the pits, there's a more relaxed Bernie Little because there was no accident to his boat the last race. It seems it's ready to go. Course record on Onondaga Lake, 146 plus mile an hour, Bernie.
Yeah, Jim, we're real proud of Tom Deeth and the crew of the Miss Budweiser. They went out there yesterday. As you know, the course was closed, so they started at 9 this morning, and we've been running laps 144, 145, 146 mile an hour laps all day. And we feel that we're ready to go racing with the Miss Budweiser very safely.
Your crew has worked very hard now. They've made some adjustments. They tried new skid fins, new rudders, etc.
Yes, we've tried everything we can think of because our number one is to keep our driver safe and keep the Miss Budweiser upright. And if we can do all of that and win this race, we got our hands full, but we're going to do it.
We'll be watching throughout the day, and Miss Budweiser will be in this next heat, 1B, with Tom Deeth, the driver. Grizzlies, the U3, Mitch Evans behind the wheel. The U4, Days Inn Traveler, the rookie driver this year, Steve David. The veteran driver, Ron Snyder, will be aboard the veteran boat, HOLSET Miss Madison. Miss Circus with John Prevost out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And as the fans here at Lake Onondaga get ready to photograph some of the world's most beautiful race boats, let's go down to the pits and Jim Hendricks.
A sigh of relief went out of the Circus camp when you made that 122 lap and got into the heat.
Yeah, that's the big thing now is get the boat in the program, and then we'll start working on fine-tuning it to start making it run fast again.
You were not satisfied that your timing starts off of that number 4 pin to the starting line because you haven't had enough chance while the boat was being repaired.
No, I don't have any timing run checks now, so it's a whole brand new ball game for us. We're in the program. We've been working 2 weeks, getting the boat to where it runs like it runs now. And then, of course, we had that disaster yesterday, so we've got to start all over. So we're really back to zero again.
So is the Circus here in lane 2. On the right, in lane 1, it is the Grizzlies. Lane 3, Days Inn Traveler, Miss Budweiser in lane 4, and the HOLSET Miss Madison on the outside as they come down for the start of Heat 1B.
No fooling around for Tom Deeth in the Miss Budweiser. He has gone far and wide to the outside. Circus trying to come up on the inside and ride the buoy line into corner number 1. But the lead boat, the red and white boat, owned by Bernie Little of Lakeland, Florida, is the Miss Budweiser. And look at the challenge he's going to get from the pink boat.
The Circus, did you see it hooked just a little bit? Lost some ground there.
He certainly did, and that could be very dangerous at these high speeds. There's the Miss Budweiser. This is the boat in command. Took the lead right off of the start. A good ride for Tom Deeth, and you can see where that hook cost some time to the Circus. Johnny Prevost has dropped back just a little bit, but Jimmy's got the power, and he may start sneaking back up on him again. 2
races ago in the Gold Cup in Evansville, Indiana, he had that boat over on its back in a complete corkscrewing barrel roll, end over end, whatever you want to call it. The boat was literally destroyed. That boat was rebuilt by their crew, and they backed the race today. They showed a little bit better in Madison. They think they're ready today. We'll have to see.
And you know, after he went over in Evansville, Indiana, Tom Deeth was debating whether or not he'd even get back into driving again or not, but he has great confidence in that crew, and that certainly is a vote of confidence for the boat from the driver, and that's something he has to have in that hull.
He and his wife Judy were aboard my boat back in Michigan. After that race, he said, if I'm going to do it, I have to get my Braves back, and I think he did.
He certainly did. We talk about the speeds of these boats. Incidentally, when we give you an average speed, remember that is 4 a lap, and a lap includes 4 corners, and unlike car racing, these corners are not banked, and a little bit of problem here. He doesn't need any banking because it looks like the HOLSET Miss Madison is having a power problem as the Budweiser goes through on the inside.
127.253 for the Bud on lap number 1. 111.1, about 16 miles off the pace in this boat, the second place Circus.
So the lead boat would be hitting upwards of about 180 miles an hour on the straights to get their average speed. So the Miss Budweiser handling very well out there. And look at the ride of the Circus. That boat has tended to ride a little bit light, but right now in what has to be considered some fairly rough water conditions, Johnny Prevost is getting himself a nice smooth run.
However, he's about a quarter of a lap back now, and Tommy Deeth from Fairhaven, Michigan, in Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser, pretty much has this heat his own way.
This is going to be a relief, I know, for that crew down in the pit area. They have been working hard to make that boat run properly. Here's Mitch Evans. This boat is called Grizzlies. It's kind of a unique looking boat without the cowling on the back, but they can't really put a cowling on there without having something towering high above it because of the height of the engine.
A brand new boat this year, owned by Ed Cooper Sr. and Ed Cooper Jr. and Mitch Evans from Lake Chelan, Washington, giving it its baptism of fire.
The lead boat, still the Miss Budweiser, Tommy Deeth, hitting upwards of 180 miles an hour on the straightaways under conditions which are a little less than favorable. The water is not too bad right now, but the wind has a tendency to kick up, and as we told you in the first heat, these boats are like airplane wings. They have to maintain that balance of water and air.
He's gone from 127.2 in lap 1 down to 119.5 and down to 116.2 in lap 3. And here is rookie Steve David in the Days Inn Traveler, and a problem with Grizzlies' Mitch Evans, that brand new boat. He's gone down in power and he's plowed around.
So Mitch Evans apparently out of it in the Grizzlies. The other boats continuing on the course now. Budweiser is your lead boat. Earlier, the HOLSET Miss Madison had lost power on the course also. There you look head on at Tommy Deeth, who has got to be feeling very, very good about the run of this boat. There's Circus. This was the boat that was contending on the inside early on, but he hooked a little bit in corner number 2 in the first lap. It cost him a little bit of time. He has not made it up, and at this point, he probably is going to be happy to settle for second place and save his equipment for later. There's the best seat in the house, Jim, but not the place he wants to be watching from.
No doubt about it. 5 boats started this heat. 3 are still in competition. Out is the Grizzlies, as you saw the driver, Mitch Evans. That'll move this boat here, the Days Inn Traveler, up to 3rd place behind Circus and Miss Budweiser. And also out is Ron Snyder in the HOLSET Miss Madison. He's returned to the pits.
So we've seen a little bit of attrition on the field now. There you can see a little traffic run for the Miss Budweiser. Lost in that rooster tail back there from the Days Inn Traveler. Here's the Budweiser on the outside. He's going to pass him up and take it down the front straight. Tommy D driving Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser.
113.833, so he's really slowing down now, just going for a ride as the checker flag is out, and it'll be Tommy D in Miss Budweiser winning Heat 1B.
This is a tremendous, tremendous moment for the crew that had to work so long to get that boat put back together a couple of weeks ago. Now they have a win under their belt. Here is Circus. I think Johnny Prevost is going to be very happy with a second place finish in his first run of the day out here in the pink boat.
117.5, the winning average for Miss Budweiser. 109.5 for second place Circus. And Steve David in the Days Inn Traveler will come around to take the checker flag for third place.
Here are your final results in Heat 1B. The Miss Budweiser, Tommy Deeth, a great job at driving in a boat that he's got tremendous confidence in.
Circus finishes second. Days Inn Traveler overall third. HOLSET Miss Madison and the Grizzlies did not finish. Let's go to the winner's circle.
Well, Tom, so far so good. Everything looks like it's going your way finally.
Well, too early to call that, but we're really pleased with the way the Miss Budweiser rode out there. The water was pretty sloppy, and I got a good clean run to the clock, and that's what I wanted to do, and then set a pace and just finish the race, get some points.
In Madison, the boat settled down. You glued it down to the water. You were happy with the way, but then it seemed as props and such started working for you, the boat lightened up a little bit and got just about right.
Well, in the final heat, it got a little hairy about the third lap, and that's what kind of got me back down a little bit, but we're really pleased with the way the Budweiser's running, and couldn't be better today so far.
We'll be back with more action from Onondaga Lake for unlimited hydroplane racing after this timeout.